What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Avengers Tower, and buckle in because I have an absolutely insane video for you today. Just a week ago, Kevin Feige officially announced Secret Wars as the end cap to this saga known as the Multiverse Saga. And as I just talked about in my Eternity War video, there were even more trademarks that leaked out that hint at what is beyond Secret Wars. And oh yeah, baby, we've got even more of those crazy leaks, and luckily I've got some sweet comic book references and speculation to fill you in on how I think all of this is going to go down. And the craziest part is that I think I've been onto it since Secret Wars. I think that Eternity War video is going to line up with a lot of the stuff we're about to talk about in this video, and this crazy cosmic Thanos may well be the final villain and maybe final hero of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is, at least until it reboots. And that's the other absolutely crazy thing about this, is that I think this is a perfect setup to an overall reboot of the MCU. And I think even that has been a part of Kevin Feige's 10-year plan. And so the two new trademark leaks that are out there that really make us think that these are going to be the next few sagas are the trademark for Timeless Saga and the trademark for Eternity Saga. And so if you think about this 10-year plan that Feige said to have announced during the last Marvel retreat, he was talking about this earlier in the year. Well, you can kind of break that up into thirds, and you can see the Multiverse Saga, the Eternity Saga, and then the Timeless Saga being the three sagas that would make up the 3/3 of the 10-year plan. And this kind of tracks with the way that phases 4, 5, and 6 are more or less going to be held within a 3-year time period. And by the way, we don't actually know which one of these will come next, but I believe Eternity and Eternity Wars will come after the Multiverse Saga and Secret Wars, and then I think the Timeless Saga will happen after that. So let's talk Eternity Saga, right? Now, I really recommend you go check out the Eternity Wars video that I made, because a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to line up with that thinking, and it's a deep dive on what Eternity Wars was from the comics and how I see that kind of going down in a big end cap film. But as far as a saga is concerned, Eternity and the Eternity Saga would likely involve taking other parallel universes, different versions of characters that we've already seen, and having them fight to try to stop the multiverse from completely collapsing. Or I guess the more correct way to say that would be the multiverse itself would become a singular verse, just one universe with 1,000 of different Earths. This was after the superflow would be destroyed. The superflow is the space between different universes, and this cosmic entity that is essentially an embodiment of the very first universe would be a entity called the First Firmament that maybe will corrupt a variant of Reed Richards and destroy the superflow and maybe make it so there is no more multiverse. And this, of course, sounds really cool, but one of the things I didn't talk about in the Eternity Wars video very much is the fact that this would allow multiple Captain Americas, multiple Iron Men, and multiple variants all existing within basically the same universe. There's no fear of incursions anymore because there is no multiverse. There are just a million counter Earths, and then you get some really crazy stories within a world like that, or within a story like that. So Eternity War itself is even crazier than Secret Wars, a way to level up on a lot of the things that I think Feige's going to establish in Secret Wars, in Kang Dynasty. And again, I've done videos on that, and we will do more videos as we get closer to it, but that will be different Avengers teams from different universes fighting against other Avengers team. In the Eternity Saga, and especially at the end in Eternity Wars, I think you would see multiple teams all working together with no barriers between them and all trying to do a singular thing to stop this entity or this evil variant of Reed Richards or the First Firmament, or maybe even a combination of those characters that Feige will create from making it so there is no multiverse. This would also allow different variants of characters from Marvel's past, maybe Fox X-Men stuff, Fantastic Four characters from the Fox stuff. Basically, all these dope movies that Marvel has done in the past, there's room for characters like that to be in the Eternity Saga and to be messing around with the Avengers when they do Eternity Wars. But on top of fun characters from Marvel's past, you could see weird alternate versions of characters, much like what you see in the What If series, also fighting with familiar characters to us in Eternity War. It would be very cosmic, very bombastic, a lot of really powerful characters all fighting against each other, and I think that would be absolutely nuts. But the saga that would come after that would be different, but also crazy. And this is where this whole Timeless Saga thing is really interesting, because Timeless is just a one-shot that came out in 2021 from Marvel Comics that involves Kang the Conqueror going back in time to a journalist who is writing about how Victor Von Doom is the greatest villain of all time. And Kang takes this journalist, or this writer, and he takes him through time to show him how much of a badass Kang is. But during those events where Kang is just showing this writer around, there's this weird signal that's brought to him where a universe that was deleted by Immortus is still alive, even though it should have been destroyed, and it's trying to put itself back in the regular timeline, which would like destroy all of time. Okay, and in the Timeless event, Kang believes that the only person that would do this is Victor Von Doom. Okay, so then he goes into this other universe to try to delete it, and he finds actually a variant of Reed Richards with the Time Stone and the Reality Stone as his eyes, and he's using the powers of that and drinking the blood of Celestials to make himself this very powerful version of Doctor Doom that's really Reed Richards, and he's the one that's keeping that universe alive. This prior destroyed universe still alive, wanting to fight to come back into our timeline. And that's all you get in that run, but it's possible that more of that will be explained in further comics coming maybe next year. But there's also a really interesting run done by Jim Starlin called Infinity End, and in that timeline you get a crazy version of Thanos that has destroyed all of the cosmic entities that are out there. He literally absorbs the Living Tribunal, he absorbs all the Celestials, he basically becomes as powerful as the One Above All. There's this moment in the comics where he's standing before the One Above All. The One Above All is trying to stop Thanos, but he cannot. So for all intents and purposes, this version of Thanos is omnipotent God. He is more powerful than any version ever before. And the story that Jim Starlin tells in Infinity's End is bananas. It involves characters like Eros, it involves characters like Kang the Conqueror, it involves places outside of even the Omniverse, which is basically all of the multiverses beyond the Marvel multiverse. And its ending is very bizarre, but kind of a perfect one for the MCU. You see, present day Thanos, who's captured by future omnipotent God Thanos, realizes that he can destroy that Thanos. He doesn't agree with the changes that this old omnipotent Thanos is making to the entire Omniverse, and so he instead changes his mind in the present, destroys that future variant of himself, takes all of that power for himself, and resets the entire multiverse, but in a good way. And if that sounds absolutely nuts, that's because it was. And the point is this, like, I don't know that the Eternity Saga or the Timeless Saga would do exact adaptations of these events from Marvel Comics. In fact, I would argue Feige is likely to not do that and to do a version of it. But the broad strokes, I think, will be the same. The broad strokes of going from a place where the multiverse is collapsing, then it's all on Battleworld and it is saved, moving into a scenario in which Eternity itself is held hostage, and this ends with the multiverse disappearing and having a ton of counter Earths where you can still kind of have some of that Secret Wars fun, but even amplify it in your sort of part 2 of this story. And then you go into a third chapter in this 10-year plan where Thanos, the villain that started the whole MCU, will come back in a very crazy way, being more powerful than anything and any being we have seen before. And you have a ton of different characters, including a good version of Thanos, that are trying to stop this evil godlike Thanos. And yeah, it's absolutely crazy, but I see the patterns in what Feige likes to do. I see the patterns in how he likes to do fan service, and I see this perfect ending on the horizon of going back to where it all began, but amplifying it to a crazy, crazy degree. And you can really bring normies along for this ride, and in this 10-year timeline, you'll be able to get people to accept that kind of craziness at the end. I mean, in Infinity End, you have all kinds of variants for different characters, like in the same way that there are tons of Kang variants in this phase of Marvel and in Marvel Comics. You get that for Star Fox, Eros, you get that for Thanos, you get that for a ton of different characters, but it all makes sense because as a comic book fan, you've been reading this kind of stuff forever. Feige will do the same thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the very end here, and I think normies will be along for the ride. And this is also an absolutely perfect way to totally reset the multiverse, to reboot the MCU with all brand new actors, and we will still be really engaged. We'll be like, dang, dude, Thanos just reset the entire multiverse, and we'll be watching this, seeing what this version of the multiverse is going to look like. And by that time, they will have absolutely earned it, and they might even build up towards crazy stuff like that again 10 years down the line. But I think that could be the perfect way to reboot the MCU, and it's also the perfect place that Feige might hang up his hat and retire from being the president of Marvel and allow new creators and new people to get this next version of the Marvel multiverse. I know it got a little sweaty in this video, but I hope you enjoyed going on this crazy speculative ride with me. Of course, we don't know for sure that any of this is going to be the way that Feige takes it, but again, these trademarks appear to be real, and I think there's a lot of evidence mounting to suggest that this is the way things are going to go. I would love to know what you think about this, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.